So,
Sure. Yeah,
boys,
yeah.
first of all, thank you
Boys.
for coming, Matthew. Welcome back to Pixel Slaves. Pixel Slaves. As we know, you're building Quest Cam,
Where's Cam?
and this is the camera for people to use in Quest. As we can see, there's a Quest right behind you. I have to say
Indeed.
on record, I don't support that, but hey, who am I to decide? So I just want to take it out of the out of the way right away. But
I mean,
thank you for
Quest
coming,
Cam
and
sounds
maybe
better than
tell
Somnium
us
Cam. It rings
before
off
we
the tongue
dive
better.
into the news. What are you saying? What are you saying?
I
Shodah?
said
Sorry.
Quest Cam rolls off the tongue better than Somnium Cam. A bit too many syllables. Too many syllables.
So, okay, yeah. But before we go into the news, because I think there's a bunch of news. We didn't have Pixel Slates for a couple of weeks.
It's been a while.
We've been busy boys, but we're back. So before we dive into the news, maybe Matthew, can you tell us about QuestCam? How did you get into the QuestCam? How did you come up with an idea? Who you build it with, and things like that.
Yeah, sure. So, my name's Matthew Dowd. I've been in VR for quite a bit. I'm 20 years old, dropped out of college to continue building the VR space. Um, I've been in VR for I've been doing a whole lot of different things with VR. I actually started and I met my co-founder by doing a custom game engine for VR to do a couple of crazy things we wanted to try in social VR. And over time, we realized that the right way to go about changing the VR industry and the landscape that we're faced with today, um, at least for us, was to not start with some gigantic project that we would would take a city of people to push onto developers, but instead to build something really small that we could get into a whole bunch of games and sort of start with a little kernel. So we realized that we've got a generation of kids that want to be influencers and they love VR, and simultaneously it's really hard to take videos inside of VR games. So we spent a long time trying to figure out how to get a third-person camera working on Quest 2 and Quest 3. And after about 4 months of building that, we shipped it. About 2 months ago now is when we shipped it. It went sort of viral among VR developers and players. And now we're sort of planning out the next steps for this, how this can be a go-to-market for something, hopefully much more. Um,
Very
yeah,
nice,
yeah.
very well made, and this is a very good decision of making something simpler. I wish I
Yes.
had made that decision with Somnium Space in the beginning, but that's the history now. But so can you explain me how it works? Because I never used QuestCam, I have to admit, but I've heard about
Mhm.
it, right? I saw it, and how does it work in terms of as a user, do I need to install something? How do you allow people to use it inside other games, things like that on the Quest?
Sure. So, by necessity, right, for us to get it inside of the games, we have to go through developers. So the first step is developers adding our SDK. It's completely free. Setup takes like about an hour, so it's very quick. But after it's in, we have a standard camera model that looks like an iPad because a lot of these kids they sort of grew up on iPads, so we designed something that would be familiar to them. And when you're inside of a VR game, you basically pick up Quest Cam, you use your finger or like a laser pointer interactor to press a big red button to start recording, and you can record anything you like. You can flip around the camera. Developers can add tools for like changing the field of view of the camera or having it follow the player. But we decided to ship out like a dead simple version just to sort of gauge interest, and it sort of took off from there.
So you convinced the Gorilla Tag developers to integrate it in, right? Or
So
how did it
we
work?
spoke to Gorilla Tag earlier this year. Um, After our conversations, my understanding is that, and after we started posting about QuestCam on social media, my understanding is that a company called Live decided to drop everything and basically build something similar to QuestCam. So Gorilla Tag worked with Live to build a custom version of QuestCam for their game, a custom camera system like QuestCam for their game, and that's the system that they're using. But we have we have some things coming that I'm not giving up on getting into every game, right? We're still focused on even the ones that are using, their own versions, their own custom-made cameras. My goal is to, build products that ultimately help developers so much that they end up switching to us, even if they're using a different solution right now.
Okay, fair enough, and good to know. I mean, I know Live guys, so yeah, nice to hear about them. But yeah, so first of all, I agree with you that the camera system inside VR, obviously, us being a social VR platform, we have built our own camera system inside Somnium Space. Very complex, incredible features, 12 drones, pro mode, pistolling, like show that I don't know, like to actually describe the full feature set of camera, we'll probably spend an hour here.
Yeah.
Of what we have done. So we've spent way more than generally if I take from the very beginning to the very end, like a year of building just the camera system inside something, because that's how important it is for people. It's social VR. You wanna share the moments, you want to share the video moments, the pictures, you want to shoot great videos and stuff like that. So I fully understand and agree with you that this is a needed product for that. I barely spend time in Somnium not looking at the camera, right? And I know it's a weird thing to do. I know some people use mirrors. We do have mirror, but I'm used to just holding the camera and just look for myself from outside and kind of like look at the stuff and make some pictures and things like that. So yeah, I fully agree with it. So okay, so you have the SDK and you want other developers to implement that. So that's where I see a barrier for you, right? Where you need to convince what's your obviously you don't need to give away everything, but what's your plan to grow? How do you plan to grow the company? What are your next steps? I think you said your co-founder is in Prague. So hello, Prague. I'm in Prague.
They're all from Prague. Everyone we speak to.
Of course,
it's VR
Mecca. It's a VR Mecca. I told you.
You did.
It's here.
It actually is. Yeah.
Everything's happening here.
Well, you got the Resonite guys in Prague too. Last I checked.
Yeah, they're in Czech Republic. They're not in Prague. They're in Czech Republic.
In Czech Republic, so not in Prague, but in Czech Republic. They're like it's crazy. Yeah, so my co-founder's in Prague. He is one of the reasons why it was so challenging to get QuestCam working at all was because obviously these standalone headsets do not have a whole lot of performance headroom. So we basically needed to make it super efficient. And that's why developers go to us rather than building their own system, is because it's just a huge challenge and requires a different set of technical skills to make something similar to this. Luckily, up until we basically have only grown through organic fashion up until now. We are in over 1,000 games, and we have not had to ask any developers like directly, basically, aside from like a few of the bigger ones. We haven't had to do any major sales or outreach. Thank you. Now I'm noticing that we're kind of saturating this category of game that we can reach organically. So we're starting to do colder outreach for the product that we have today. And we're, of course, building a new version of QuestCam that is a little bit crazier and doing a lot of more interesting things that I hope are interesting to developers. So there should be news on that in the next couple of months.
Okay. So no spoilers for us here exclusively, no, nothing.
I learned my lesson with talking before we had a product to release.
Okay. Hello, Liv. But all right. So okay. So your own games, can you give us some numbers, like how many people use it a day or things? Do you see those numbers at all, or how do you? Yeah.
So the stats we have, we don't track players, but the stat that we do have is we track how many videos are taken. And since we launched 2 months ago, players have taken over 1.3 million videos. It's like this staggering number,
VR's
right?
dead.
It's like a crazy number.
That's
awesome.
amazing.
It amounts to 4 years worth of video, right? Which is it's just insane. Yeah, most of it are like various species of virtual monkey.
Yes.
So we see a lot of content. Like kids love it. They're spending on weekends. They're taking like a video a second effectively with QuestCam. So right now we're trying to figure out. Okay, we have this awesome core user base. I don't know exactly how many users it is, but probably on the order of like
a lot,
80 to 100,000.
That many videos being made with your software, that is a lot.
And you said it's monkeys, but like it's on Gorilla Tag. It's some clones of that, or what's happening there?
No, and this is one of my favorite insights is Gorilla Tag is big, but in my opinion, the much more lasting impact of Gorilla Tag is the fact that it has inspired literally like tens of thousands of kids to learn Unity and build their own Guerrilla Tag style games that in turn have tens, sometimes hundreds of thousands of monthly players. These games, even though Guerrilla Tag is huge, these games, in my opinion, are where the future of VR is. So that's an audience that me and my co-founder understand really well. It's how we're able to reach them. So those are kind of the power users of QuestCam right now, actually. But of course, QuestCam is also in sale
they're
VR.
Published on the Quest Store. All those games are published on the Quest Store, or they're like.
I mean, since Meta merged the App Lab and the main store, now they're technically supposed to be discoverable super easily.
Right. Oh, we'll discuss
super
that.
Easy.
Yeah. I've
super
seen
easy
tweets.
discoverability.
Right. Discoverability is amazing.
Virtual desktop. I can never find it. Where is it?
Oh man.
Okay, first of all, congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, well done.
That's your, in investors' world, that's your product market fit right there. So you don't need to prove anyone. And so are you guys are you a company? Are you or you just do it as a what's your plan in terms of growing? Do you want to have a studio, or how do you want to grow? What do you want to have from that?
So my co-founder and I set up a company when we were working on the game engine, just sort of like a hacking group for us to mess around with. Now, this is clearly something that can turn into something bigger. So we are, figuring out what the steps to getting to what the biggest opportunity in VR is today. QuestCam for a long time and turning it into an even better product that does even better things for creators and developers, attracting more and more players to developers' games. But I think there's a lot of stuff that VR needs. It needs world platforms, it needs creation tools, it needs systems that are persistent across lots of different games. So we will be exploring lots of different things now that we have this beachhead, right, in all of these different games. I don't want to say too much about it. I don't want to spoil anything, but we're definitely very ambitious about the future of VR from the start at QuestCam.
It almost feels like you got the building blocks for like a TikTok competitor in XR. All these social videos, all these crazy things being made with it, and it's from people who, let's be honest, these kids live in VR. Amazing.
Yes.
So that's the next. Surely that's the next. Your next kind of like wiggle room.
The pro tip. And obviously, I think you thought about it already, but make them those videos spatial videos, so stereoscopic.
Oh yeah.
And let me watch them in VR.
Is that something that can do it already? Can QuestCam do? I know it's very hard to process stereoscopic.
Yeah, right. So the challenge would be like taking two streams of video. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I'm not even that bullish on. So the one spatial video experience that has really blown me away has been the immersive video on Apple Vision Pro. Artur, I know that you're a Vision Pro fan, so you're probably right there with me.
Amazing.
Really is. In terms of like social media and stuff, I know that Liv is doing like their Project Spatial thing. Right now, I'm not sold. I could be wrong, but that's just not how I interpret how these kids are engaging with social media. So
I can give you okay, maybe because I can give you my my view. So as you know, I love Vision Pro, but I also, I love VR, PC VR and stuff. And I can give you one example of recently. I've recently been watching some spatial videos on a app called Spatial Station. And Vision Pro, they have those spatial videos there. I mean, it's not so much used app there. The videos, there's quite a little bit of videos there. But I by chance, I just found one profile which was sharing, because I saw Minecraft there, and I was like, what Minecraft is doing there? And the guy, he took the Minecraft VR video from the first person view, or maybe it was not even a VR, but he converted it into a stereoscopic video, but in a very good quality. And I'm not a Minecraft person at all. Like I'm the furthest person from Minecraft. And yet I've spent 20 minutes, or like not 20 minutes, I'm lying, but like maybe 10 minutes watching that video from the first person view in spatial stereoscopic video. And it was pretty fun. And to me, then he has some other games. He did a GTA first person view as well. And it was fun to kind of, I made this huge screen, basically was sitting there in front of like the car, and he was in the car driving. It was fun to watch. And I think while maybe it's not mainstream yet, I think if we want to talk about native consumption of VR content in VR, that's the future of future TikTokers. We actually are thinking about making an ability in Somnium Space to watch other person's first person view live. So you can kind of like join the other person, someone could be making a quest in Somnium and, slashing the dragon. Someone could be racing in the racetrack. And you can watch that person while you're in VR, you can watch that person. Because honestly speaking, everybody wants to watch some interesting content. And even if you're in VR, you don't do some interesting stuff all the time, but someone else might, and you want to join that person. So, it's something for you to think about, but it's also something we believe in as well.
I feel called out. I feel called out.
Yeah,
right
I think, I think,
go.
there's definitely a future for like VR native recorded content, or like co-present, like an equivalent for streaming, right? Where you're sort of a ghost, right, following someone else. I think that's definitely the case. I think a lot about what do these content creators want today, and what does VR need today, and then how does that grow into that future thing over the course of time. So I think it's probably less a matter of like, is facial video good, is volumetric video good, and more of a question of what's the logical next step from like step one, right? So that's I guess more how I think it, because I think that like the example you gave of like sort of hovering over someone's shoulder while they're slaying a dragon, that's probably the equivalent of a live viewer on TikTok live streaming right today, where you can like interact with them and they can like wave at you or something like that, right? That's at least how I think about it.
Yep. What are the biggest risks you perceive? For example, for me, the biggest risk, if I look at your app, I see the biggest risk is that Meta, which is, by the way, very known of doing these kind of things, will take that and integrate this kind of feature on an OS level, and then everybody will be able to take videos and do things and share them easily among each other. What's your response to that?
Yes, cameras are being commoditized. Headsets are getting more powerful. So the technical advantage that systems like QuestCam have to make it possible at all are going to be less substantial in the future. I'm in full agreement there, right? This is a commodity. It is like code that does not need another product around it, at least for maybe a couple more months, maybe a year. I don't know. So yeah, we're trying to figure out ways like how do we do even more? How do we carry more of the weight for developers who don't understand TikTok or want to get their feet wet in TikTok, right? Because a lot of developers don't, and they shouldn't. Going back to the store discoverability thing, they shouldn't have to rely on Meta for store discoverability. They should be able to offload that to some other company or system that they can trust more. So I sort of see us in that position more in the future.
Can QuestCam in a minute, can that post directly to social sites like TikTok?
No, right now it is a bare bones camera that players are it's totally in the hands of players to do what they will with the videos. Right now, what we do have is when you take a video on QuestCam, it syncs to the Meta app, so that's one step of easing the process. But there's a lot more that can be done.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, you are kind of in the beginning of your journey, and I mean, you have a great start. If so many people use it, then you cracked some code already, and you just need to figure out how to bring them more value.
I mean, you brought in a feature that a lot of children, obviously from TikTok, they rinse that. They're just doom scrolling throughout, and you brought that kind of feature set to VR. I like.
Yeah.
By the way,
so.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Then I have a question.
Yeah. So one thing that I'll add, and I think a contributor to our really strong organic growth was the fact that a lot of these kids, camera mods was this thing that they already knew about, right? Because they saw online people that had PC VR Gorilla Tag, and they're able on PC to mod in a third person camera that looks very similar to QuestCam. So our strategy was basically to say, hey, do you want a game to have a camera mod on standalone? Your solution is us tag a game in the comments to get them to add QuestCam, and that was very effective. I think a very critical part of VR today for developers is understanding these kids extremely well. So that's one of the ways that we communicated with them in a way that they understood.
Okay. Okay. So my question is then, when Pico came,
When Pico Cam.
Pico Chat.
Yes.
We could actually do that. Yeah, we could. We could do that. It's all. I mean, Pico, as I understand, is still Android, so we could do that if we could technically do
Yep.
that. I'll need to see the numbers of how many Pico headsets are being used.
Not enough, unfortunately.
I
They're an
mean, I
amazing
think it's
headset.
quite a bit. It's quite a bit.
Yeah, there needs to be more
number. And I
competition.
think you like why say Pico? By the way, you frozen for us. Is it only me or Matthew is frozen? Or it's my
Frozen a little bit. Are you there? He's gone. Meta heard us say Pico, and that's it. They've cut the connection.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Hold on,
That
it's
was
glitching out a
that
lot
was
for me.
quick.
Give me one
Oh,
second.
there is.
Okay, here.
Yeah.
We thought Meta has just struck.
Sorry, Meta. We won't mention
boy.
your competitor
Well, I'm
again.
not sorry, Meta. You can try whatever, but I'm on the Starlink, so you can go and do whatever you want, Meta. We're
I
secure.
wonder
here.
what that metric is. How many Pico are used
Okay.
compared to Meta?
I think we're back.
So you're back. Yeah,
We're
you're
so
back.
back.
So I think Pico is, while it's not numbers of Quest, but it's still used quite a bit. And I
Especially
think
in
your
China.
advantage could be if you will get into Pico, because I think you'll have a better chance to talk to Pico directly and kind of pick their interest and have it more on a maybe OS level or things like that. Rather than, because Meta will never. I mean, we see it right now, and I don't want to start ranting about it right now.
Of course
but,
you do.
We can see that Meta.
That's your Meta.
Okay, he
Your
knows
Meta
he
is
knows me well.
bashing on Meta.
No, but they don't respect their developers. Like, it's clear, you can see it. I how more you should know. They only care about their own good, And Pico is a little bit different, in my opinion, from my interactions with them. I
Well,
think
we're seeing with the Horizon Worlds and stuff right now.
Oh yeah, can you imagine? Like, okay, what is going on with Horizon Worlds? Let's switch a little bit into that. What happened? They basically pushed their Horizon Worlds on top of all the other apps, and they said, "This is where you go right now. This is what we want people to visit, and all the other apps doesn't matter." Right? Is that what am I understanding correctly? Because I'm not using Meta anymore. Like, I don't even know. But I saw those videos and tweets, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. They're
Yeah, I mean, right now, if you open up the Meta app, it looks like Roblox. But it's worse Roblox because they're cloud streaming all of the games. It's not even running natively on the phone. So it's like this. It's honestly on mobile, it's terrible. They ruined the app experience. At least in VR, I think Horizon Worlds is actually a decent world, like a decent platform. The problem is just that they push it too much, and I think it's I think they're being a little bit too aggressive with it. They shouldn't give themselves any unique advantage that other developers don't have, so that they feel forced to make a product that people want.
It's Meta.
I know. Yeah, no. It's a big company, so like, of course, they're not going to do that. But that's what they should do.
No, I'm just wondering. And when you just said they're too early forcing it, this is the theme of Meta for a long time already. They've done it with Facebook login in the beginning too early. They wanted to log in the system too early, because I don't think they've reached the kind of the critical mass yet. None in the headsets market, none in the Horizon Worlds market, and that's what I always ask myself, why are they doing it? And the only answer I can find or tell to myself is they feel pressured by the time, and they try to close the doors before others come in. And by others, I mean Apple and Android XR. Because Pico, I don't think they're afraid of Pico, even though Pico is taking a little bit of their users out, and they're having some success in Europe and Asia. But I don't understand why there's so much in a rush. You build your stuff, you have the platform, and now they try to monetize aggressively. They're even trying to sell credits in Horizon. What the hell? Like, why would you? It's too early to start even monetizing it.
I think actually in form, Horizon World is not that. They can do a couple things, but it's actually a very well polished experience and does a lot of things that I think are impressive.
Such as?
Can you give
me examples?
Yeah, I think that, for example, they had a camera system in the game and a photo sharing system that I thought was really good. I thought it was better than what VR Chat had. I think that the portaling system they have is really well made. I think that it's generally pretty polished. You can also have fairly densely populated avatar worlds. The problem is that and I don't know what this is with Meta. I feel like they try and cater to adults too much. I'm very much of the perspective that, you know, kids are pretty much the biggest and only demographic that VR is super important for right now.
Oh yeah.
Um, but so I don't really know why Meta is building a product that is about 3 steps away from being an awesome platform for kids. I think if I was Meta, I absolutely would be trying to verticalize, you know, a social world and the hardware. If I was in charge of it, I'd have people load into Horizon Worlds the second they put on the headset and have an
Oh,
awesome social
100%.
encounter.
Yeah, of course. But they
Right?
didn't do it in the beginning. They should have
Yeah,
done it from
yeah,
the
yeah,
beginning.
exactly. They should have done it in the beginning, or they should be a little bit more decisive. You know, I think decisiveness is good, and they're not. What it appears to me, and you might agree, right? It seems like there's this Horizon Worlds team that's constantly at odds or not in complete agreement with the mixed reality team or
Oh,
the team
absolutely.
collaborating with Xbox. It's just a disaster. So
Yeah,
I
of
think,
course.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's like this, and I think that comes from the management. It's if Mark is not using this product, if he's not a power user of Horizon Worlds nor of the Quest, like I don't believe is a second that Mark is working in mixed reality in Microsoft Word or replying to
no,
these emails in Quest 3. Nor I
yeah.
believe that Mark is visiting everyday Horizon Worlds. Like he's not doing it.
I
And
don't
like
think almost anyone is on their team. The average time that a Meta or a Reality Labs employee uses the headset is once every 40 days. That's despicable.
That's
That it's
yeah.
crazy.
Horrible
It's
WhatsApp.
That's
absurd.
bollocks.
It's absurd.
It's
And if people
crazy.
make all these decisions,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
it's
need to play more or they need to use it more.
yeah. So that's why I kind of rejoice whenever I see shortcomings or failures by companies that do not fully commit to VR. It's because we need failures to be treated like failures by the market. We don't need,
Yeah, but then, they don't do the good job at making implementations of their own systems and products into their headsets. But at the same time, okay, if you're not good at that, you should admit it and then allow developers to flourish on your platform. But they're not doing that
yeah,
either. That's the problem. They're kind of smashing the developers and their own product. And I'm like,
yeah.
why? Why is that happening? Recently, the founder of Golf Plus, Ryan Engel, right? He posted the post of his friend trying to find Golf Plus at Meta Store, and he's getting 5 different free
Like
trials
clones
and
and stuff.
Horizon Worlds and things like
Yeah.
that with 2.56 stars or whatever. And I'm saying, yeah, of course. This is what you
Yeah.
get from the company who doesn't respect their own developers. And he was protecting.
Y-
I wrote it because I'm very vocal about Meta, and people are
Yeah.
attacking me and saying like, Artur, you are always so negative about this. I'm like, no, I'm trying to be realistic. And they attack me because they tell me, you're competitor of Meta, which I'm even not, to be honest. I don't care about Meta
Mhm.
at all. We're in a different demographics, different platforms, different headsets. Like we're so far away from each other. But I told them, hey guys, but you're dependent on the Meta money. Because if Meta stops, or if you're dependent on the platform, if people stop buying your product on Meta, you're done. You're basically done. This is your whole revenue. That's why you're
Right.
protecting them. But now we see that Meta, even with a popular app like Golf Plus, they seem
Yeah.
to just bury it under the ground for some reason.
Yeah. So the 2 things on this. I think that uh, Meta's discoverability should be good, right? That it obviously should be good. And the example of Golf Plus, there's no world in which the 2.6 star golf game should be ranked above Golf Plus. That being said, when it comes to big burgeoning industries like VR, there are different orders at play. There's like the direction of VR as a whole, which I think Meta is slightly more cognizant of than a lot of people give them credit for. And then there's the stuff day to day that individual game developers focus on. And ultimately, if Meta creating a verticalized product with Horizon Worlds ships more VR headsets and gets retention higher, I do think that's a better thing overall for developers and will lead to more headset manufacturers in the long term. Also being said, developers should not be reliant on Meta store discoverability. They should understand how to market their game effectively, and they should create systems, whether it's QuestCam, whether it's doing their own, whatever. They should take it into their own hands and figure out how to reach players without, getting a big banner by Meta, right? Like I think
I
think
kind
that's
of
pretty
agree with
common sense.
you, but the reality is, if Meta wants to bury it down, they will do it no matter what. And however
That's
your
also true.
discoverability will be, they can just slash your downloads by 80% any single moment of time if they want to do that. And we've seen examples of them literally doing things like that already in the past. So I would be careful. What developers should not do is rely only on Meta. That's what they should not do. You build a product. That's why I said when Pico came, right? When you build a product, you need to think about, okay, I'm being on this platform. I'm fully dependent on one platform, on one company. What can I do to actually diversify myself to be able to reach customers in other platforms? And I know it's difficult to build for different platforms, but that's something people need to see. But that's what we get for having one company, and thank God for Apple right now, but one company who is building subsidized headsets and trying to saturate the market with those headsets and kind of buying themselves a market share. That's what you get. You get one player. It's monopoly.
Yeah, I mean the challenge. I mean, again, right? The challenge for like the individual developers on that order of the industry is that it is a crippling decision to not support Meta, and the business case for putting the engineering hours towards a PCVR port or Pico port or PSVR2 port is a tough choice. So I think that my hope is that over the next like 10 years or so, 5 years hopefully, Meta, my expectation is that Meta is going to gravitate more towards mixed reality and more towards these glasses form factors, and there's going to be a power vacuum once again in the immersive VR space. So I think that
100%.
as long as people stay committed to immersive VR and realize the transformative potential that this has, I think that we'll get through this storm, so to speak.
Yeah, but I think the problem is, I think developers, and it's something for you to think about, but also for other developers, they will wake up to a very dire realization once Meta just throws VR into the bin and concentrates on something else. And I kind of have this gut feeling that the moment mixed reality will become more important for them, the VR is doomed. Like they will just either raise the price of the headsets, or they will just say, whatever, we'll not release any more headsets, or they will stop supporting things or make less updates. I don't know, but I'm just saying that I feel that awakening is coming. Now, how it will look like, I don't know, but the reality will hit back. It will. Right now, Meta is trying to run from reality, but by spending 4 billion per quarter. But the reality is actually catching up, and at some point of time, the reality will have to catch up, because you cannot spend that much money forever without realizing some kind of profit path. You have to have escape valve, right? You have to have something where you would be making money. Ray-Bans wouldn't be it. It's not making them enough money to even cover the anything. So it has to be something. But my problem is, if they spend all that money, now Quest 3 is the respectable product in terms of quality, right? But given how much money has been spent on, and years has been spent to get to this point, I think they could have done better. I mean, I know what I'm talking about. We've built a headset. I understand how the headsets are built. I see what decisions they made. I can tell you they could have done better. Now, why they didn't, I don't know. And the problem is, if they are continuing to develop it like that, and they will maybe not put as much resources into it because, the spendings are there. They need to earn money somewhere. Maybe AI, you see markets pivoting to AI and saying AI is amazing, everything is AI, and, maybe the future is AI. You never know. And suddenly, if they will say, okay, now we need to make money, they will either raise the prices of headsets, and suddenly it will be not $500 or $600, but it will be 1.3K. And everybody will say, oh shit, like, what do I do now? Or they will have to do something else, right? They will have to turn ads. I don't know. I'm just saying that I feel that awakening is coming. I don't understand from which side this awakening will come. But if Apple will catch up, and if Android XR will do at least something bearable in this market, Meta will have tough competition, because people suddenly will say, wait a second, I can buy a Google headset, and I can have all the Android apps which I'm used to in that headset, plus some immersive games. It will not be as good as Meta. Or I'll buy Quest and then I'll play just games, or I buy Vision Pro and I can work, effectively, and I have great experiences. There will be some choices. And Pico, of course, is also doing some stuff. So I think,
Yeah.
Meta will have to decide what they want to be. I think they just need to admit that they're a gaming console and concentrate on that. But if they admit that they're a gaming console, they have to really support the developers with a lot of money and a lot of effort and be very fair to them, because that's where their strength is coming from, in my opinion, from the developers.
I mean, optimistically, I would say, like, I think Meta right now is they're basically trying to be Vision Pro, Roblox, and Xbox
Yep.
all in one.
Impossible.
Yeah, and they're doing all terribly, right? Or now all less good than each individually.
No, you were right. Correct. Terribly. Your first gut feeling was correct.
Right. I think my opinion is that something kind of like Roblox, but like different. Metaverse is, people don't like that word anymore, but something like that, I think, is what will streamline social VR, verticalized with the headset. That being said, even that option is not something that developers today will stomach, because that means dropping existing tool systems and even the freedom of a complete game engine and basically living inside of a Horizon Worlds, which introduces even more overreach opportunities for Meta. So I think you're right. I would expect them to shift almost entirely to mixed reality over the next, 3 years. So the focus right now should be on figuring out how to get potentially like a brand new hardware company building standalone headsets that can go super mainstream. I think that would be awesome to see come up for the next 5 years.
I can tell you the reality is the following. No one at this moment can make headsets at scale with that price unless they're willing to spend $25 billion in the next 3 years. No one. There's no company in the world which can do that. My problem is that Meta is not capable of continuing doing that in the long run. I don't think they will be doing that in the long run, because Mark, as much as he's controlling everything, he needs to show shareholders that he's bringing value. And that's why we saw Orion glasses. That was not a product announcement. That was a shareholder sale. This was a shareholder sale. It's not a product. It will probably not become a product in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years.
5 years at least.
But it's a sale pitch. It's a pitch for investors to say, hey, we are the best. We have the best R&D. Blah 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 blah. I bet you Apple has 10 pairs of glasses like that, maybe even better, in their R&D lab. They will never show you that. They will just they're doing that. I'm sure they're doing this. 100%. They're doing that, but they're just not showing it to you because they're waiting for it to be ready, to be market ready, and to be presentable.
I think they're going to split down the middle. They're going to have their mixed reality be separate to what I think they're going to do. All this aggressive Horizon Worlds being on the front page, this secret currency that they bring. I think they're going to force developers in Horizon Worlds, and the mixed reality will be completely separate. That's what I think they're doing. It just why bring in this currency? Why all this aggressive kind of like when I went to download Orion Drift today, try out, which is a good game, really fun. The first thing I saw in the store was just Horizon Worlds. It just like you said, it just felt like Roblox is just being forced on me, and these random worlds that just make no sense. It just makes sense if they want to carry on with the immersion of VR and do mixed reality. I think they're going to split into 2 different products. I think the Quest is still going to be a thing for a very long time, but it's just going to be. I've got a scary feeling it's just going to be Horizon World in the future, and devs are just going to make stuff for that. They're going to monetize using their secret currency that they brought. What is it? Meta credits? Is it? What's it called?
I don't even know, but there's some digital currency which you own nothing of because it's all on the server of Meta. You have zero control of, and you're a peasant in the world of Mark.
Don't get zucked, boys and girls. Don't get zucked.
Yeah. Anyway,
they should have named it Zuckbucks.
Zuckbucks.
I mean, at least it will be funny. At least it will be funny, and we would understand that Mark understands fun. Like if he would do that, everybody would be like, oh my god, but hey, that's funny. That's great. I'd buy some Zuckbucks just to own some Zuckbuck. Like why not? It's gonna be lit, but he didn't do it anyway. So yeah, forget about Meta. Fine, they're doing their own thing. It's unfortunately I don't see any bright side, because we see some studios being shut down as well. We see some bigger studios also going bankrupt and shutting down because they're not able to earn money, which is a sad part of a VR industry. There's kind of like the other part of the VR industry where you have, it's tough to make money. It is tough to make money. So what other news have caught our eyes in the last weeks, guys? What have you seen? What should we
A lot of
discuss?
Megan X releasing their 8K
Shift-Tile.
X-Tile, whatever it's
8K.
8KX. I can't remember what it's called. Not 8KX. That's Pimax. What's it called?
This is the Shift-Tile 8K something, whatever.
Yes.
It's the small, basically big screen beyond competitor.
Big screen beyond
with a
for
high
everyone.
resolution. Yeah, yes.
Now my question for
I
that
mean, I'm
is,
not sure about everyone. It's more expensive than big screen beyond, right? But
who's got the power to run that amount? No one is the answer.
that's my question. That's my
No
question. I like high resolution, but I am very realistic about what PCs we got today. And if you are, so VR1 is 2.9K per eye. You gotta have a good PC to run it at a full native resolution. 4090 is struggling sometimes. Now, if we talk about 3.5 or 3.8K per eye, you are hitting already a problem of display ports, bandwidth. So you're hitting the cable bandwidth, the optical cable that you're hitting the bandwidth, and display port mute standard is not out yet. So if you have 3.8K display per eye, you would have to do a lot of compression in and out, but then you are not running fully native. You are kind of like, so why would you have the So that's kind of questions I'm asking. Why would you buy today a Ferrari if you can drive only 30 kilometers per hour inside the city, and you can never drive faster on the highway?
I'll be in a Ferrari.
I mean, okay, Ferrari is a bad example. You can buy Ferrari for just sitting in it, and it's a beautiful car. But I'm just kind of asking this because there is a limit what PCs can handle today, not only from the power perspective, but from the data throughput, right? You need to get those data from the PC to your eyes, to the screens, and that's a lot of data. We had to create our own custom cables, optical hybrid cable, and it's difficult. We've spent almost a year making that cable, and it's expensive and stuff. So yeah, that's a question. So I think the Shift-Tile is the form factor, right? I think you will never be running it in full native resolution. So while you have that ability, you would still be slashing it down, and you will be running it on something more sensible, because no other game would run more than 10 FPS if you'd run it in in a full native resolution.
Well, as a VR chat enthusiast, 10 FPS is quite a lot.
Yeah.
So your life, 10 FPS is your life, right?
Yes.
What games? By the way, Matthew, what games are you playing? Are you playing any games on a regular basis?
Yeah, I probably spend, I would say, like 3 hours a day in VR, minimum average. So I'm in VR all the time. And funny that VR chat was mentioned. It is the way. I spend a lot of time in the flight sim worlds in VR chat, as well as some of like the hangout clubs. So that's one thing that I do.
Wait,
and then I spend a ton of time.
VR chat?
Yeah, there's
Oh, they're awesome.
They're really fun. Are you on about the one where there's jets and helicopters and the big ramps? Or are you on about the proper
okay.
ones?
Sorry. When someone says flight sim,
there's one called
wait, sorry. When someone says flight sim, for me as someone who creates the headset for flight simmers, it's like you do like all the details and the graphics, you do like Microsoft Flight Simulator or DCS style. But if you say flight sim, it's like a fun flight sim world, right? If I understand correctly.
It is. It still looks pretty good for its defense. There's one called Test Pilots that's on Quest and PC, and then there's another one that's like a little bit more heavy, and it is a ton of fun. Strongly recommend. It's really cool because it's so free and open. So you just like hop in a plane, take off, and like you can do formation flying, or you can shoot random people down and like cause a little bit of a fluffle. So it's a lot of fun. The club worlds and the hangout spaces are, of course, really fun. I'm starting to appreciate, I think, the design and the architectural design of some of the spaces more. So that's a lot of fun. And then on the Quest, I spent a lot of time in some of these Gorilla Tag fan games that I mentioned. There's one called Gorilla Royale. It's created by this like 18-year-old developer, I think, who it's basically like a battle royale but with gorilla characters. It's really well made, and you see a lot of interesting social behaviors happen inside of it. So it's a ton of fun. So that's kind of I guess the breakdown of what I'm in day to day.
What kind of
Okay.
social behaviors do you often find yourself in those gorilla games? Quite
So
screamy and
so here's my take. I think that um, the more presence optimized these games are, the friendlier people generally be, or at least they're more likely to be friendly, right? The propensity to friendliness is higher. Um, what I see in this Guerrilla Royale game, which is one where you just hop in, you land, there aren't any teams, so it's like free for all. I see people making like friend groups, like clans, clubs, cliques. They're like chatting. Sometimes they're not even shooting anyone. They're just sort of hanging out. So it's like total like playground activity, and I think that's awesome. We're really seeing VR worlds become the next playground. They're replacing the middle school playground. So I think it's great. I think it's exactly what VR is best at.
for me, for VR becoming the playground, it's almost like there isn't that awkwardness to talking to people inside VR because you have got this mask on. So you almost, the amount of people I've met in VR chat, and they are the loudest, they're the loveliest people, and I often think to myself, I bet you're nothing like this in person. Do you know what I mean? It's just VR, social and VR just go together like strawberries and cream. It really does. I love it. We're living in the future, boys.
Yeah,
I cannot agree more. As someone who is building.
Yeah.
I know.
I think right now the biggest challenge is probably that it's so ephemeral. At least a lot of the times, right? If you meet someone in VR chat or you like have a good conversation, the ability to retain that relationship over time and like again and again through different sessions is I think a little bit tough right now. So I think that's
Yes.
maybe one of the biggest challenges that VR has right now. Yeah.
And
Although that also makes it kind of magical, right? Because you can have an amazing conversation and then you feel super present with people and then it's like fresh again. So I don't know. It's kind of like a weird balance.
I blame this thing here right now. That's my reasoning for never remembering really good conversations. I have to admit, I'm one of them VR chat.
Oh, the alcohol. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Why are you yellow? I don't remember. What? Hello again. That's literally my weekday
Pretty popular,
encounters.
yeah. Yeah, it's very common.
I go through my pictures like, oh yeah, we did this thing. We played a zombie tag. Okay, I remember it now. That's great. I don't remember it, but I can pretend I do.
Yeah,
So
that's one of the cool things too. At least with oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to kind of bring like, where do we think VR will be in 5 years? Like, what are people going to be using it for on a day-to-day basis? Is social VR the ultimate use case
Yeah.
for virtual reality?
Yeah,
I believe so. 100%.
yeah. I think there's no reason why within 5 years, almost all of Gen Alpha can't be inside of VR. Like unless some market issue or manufacturing challenge happens, like we were talking about with Meta, I think that Gen Alpha is going to become the first VR native generation, and then generations after that, it's going to be even more so. That being said, I think this window of time, right, is probably if it doesn't happen now, then I'm not as convinced that VR will, will be as big as it possibly could be. Right now is really the time when it needs to take off.
Can you expand on that? And when you say take off, what is the metric when you see that it's taken off? Because everybody's saying different numbers or different ideas. When I say, okay, VR has to go mainstream, I think about one thing, and when you say VR has to go mainstream, you think about another. So what is mainstream a takeoff for you? How would you say it's success?
Yeah, in my opinion, the most important metric is retention. A lot of people like to talk about headset sales. A quarter of US kids and teens reportedly have VR headsets. It's no longer about headset sales. We need retention. We need people putting on VR every day, ideally. That's what I like about Gen Alpha is that retention is very flat, which is good. If someone's at month 2, They're probably going to be still putting on VR frequently on month 4 and 5. So we need super high retention, and then we need to start selling lots of headsets. And that's a software issue. That's not a hardware issue, right? It's a software. It's like, is it
100%.
worth it to put on a VR headset? Because it's still very inconvenient. So it can be improved. The retention, a lot of people don't talk about retention. Retention is super important.
As someone who is building in VR, who's building the company in VR, I have to say, I think as much as we want VR to be the mainstream use case, I think the first mainstream use case will come from mixed reality glasses, which I can wear in public and have the useful information overlay over my real world. When I say this, I mean either Vision Pro style thing with the information overlaid over the real world, but smaller, or see-through glasses, but with the same capabilities or very similar capabilities what Vision OS offers today, again, to overlay things on the top of real world, whether connected to my iPhone or something else, I don't know. And the reason for that is that, or kind of the ideal scenario, I believe that phones will, go away at some point of time. They will, they will be they'll be replaced. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it will happen that quickly. It's a long process. The phones are amazing, but I think, like, I kid you not, every time I'm at an event right now. Okay, every time I'm being invited to some event, like last time I was at Wired event in Czech Republic in Prague. I am looking around at people. I have zero idea who are those people. 98% of people, I have no idea who those people are. But I would love to know. Exactly. Just put me a LinkedIn profile on top of their head so I can click on them, or show me directly that I'm connected with this person and this person. This alone, this one use case would make everyday, day-to-day life so much more fun and interesting, because I can come up to someone and say, by the way, we know this guy, you're working in VR, absolutely amazing. I'm just adding you here. Let's chat because I'm building the headset, you're building this. Wow. Oh, you're building QuestCam. Man, I just spoke to your co-founder. Jesus Christ, I didn't know that's you. These kind of interactions, this would be amazing. Because first of all, I have a problem. If someone is introduced to me, 5 minutes later, I don't remember the person's name. It's not because I don't respect them or something. It's my brain problem. I know it's my brain problem. I don't remember people's names. So, it's awkward situations like that. So give me social interactions in mixed reality. Give me information like what I'm using most of the time with my phone outside, Google Maps. I'm searching for a restaurant. I'm searching for a next post, whatever. I'm looking at the reviews. I want to give me this in a spatial environment. Also overlay me some information. Before Vision Pro came out, I was talking to our friends and our colleagues here in Insomnia Space, and we're walking from the restaurant. I'm saying, like, I have a feeling that in 5 years, walking on a street without wearing glasses will feel empty. Like you will suddenly have no information. It's like walking outside today without having a mobile phone. You're kind of disconnected from the world, and that's how I feel in ideal scenario. That's how I feel we would feel without those glasses. Because suddenly you'll have all that additional useful information, not overload of ads like those favorite videos on LinkedIn where people share this bullshit. Sorry for my language, but this is not exactly how it will be. Maybe in a meta world, but in a normal glasses world, you will choose what information you want to have, right? You will choose that you want to see the restaurants reviews or shops or people tags from the people who actually agree with that, right? People will maybe hide their tags, but some people will say, no problem, I want to be seen in the public. So I feel like this is an information and this is the use case. And that will be 90% of the use case for people in a mixed reality XR space. And then some of those people, because they'll get used to have glasses on their faces and the headsets will become more comfortable or whatever the experiences, they will come home and in the evening they will spend 1 hour in social VR or something. That's to me how I see. Yeah, but again, I'm talking about mean average, right? I'm talking about the average. I think that's where this is the best case scenario for VR to me right now. I don't see that we are all being doomed into VR like Matrix forever and never coming out of it. As much as I want it to happen, I don't think this is happening.
I think you got to spend more time with these kids because they're spending hours and hours and hours per day in social VR. It is so. We have a QuestCam Discord server. It has like 5,200 members, so like a reasonable sample size. And
I'm joining.
I sent a poll out. Thank you. I sent a poll out. I said, what percentage of all of your friends are online only? And 30% said 80% of their 30% of these
Yeah.
users said that 80% of their friends are online only. And it's only 2024.
Fair.
Uh,
Same.
uh-huh.
Same. And
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s, and it's exactly the same for me.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Well, actually, yeah, if you actually look at like, a total number of friends for like adults in the US, for example, over time, it actually probably tracks similarly.
Mhm.
Um, this generate so I agree that that is what you're describing is probably the most likely outcome. But I think that there is maybe a 15 to 20% chance that over the next 5 years, social VR takes off so much among this aging, currently young demographic that it enriches itself already in their habits and their social lives. And I think as someone who loves social VR, that's the outcome that I'm fighting for. I think that social VR will always have a place because it's just such a magical experience, but there is a chance that it can be a deeply rich part of
Don't get me wrong.
the global
I'm in
society.
your boat.
Uh-huh.
I bet my whole company on social VR. So I'm fully on board with your vision. I'm just
Mhm.
saying that the most likely outcome, if I think about it. By the way, when I say those 10% or 5% of people doing VR every day, these are tens and hundreds of millions of people. Because
Right.
I believe
Yeah,
that
yeah.
wearing XR outside will bring more people into VR as well. Because again,
Sure.
there are interconnected mediums. They will try spatial videos in Vision Pro, and they will say, "Wow, this is amazing. Can I do that? But actually control things by myself?" Oh, sure, you can. You can meet new people. And like, oh, wait a second. Okay, I'll try that. So there will be that crossover of people, right? There will be people
Mhm.
coming from that. So the total amount of people using VR, even PC VR, even standalone VR, will grow. I think it will grow
Mhm.
all the time. But the amount of people using mixed reality will just outgrow it by tenfold or maybe
Oh,
50
sure.
fold.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the likelihood that VR is used more hours overall than mixed reality is very unlikely. So I totally agree with you there.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that potentially the commercial value of VR could be comparable more to mixed reality just because of how much money people are spending today and what that transaction process looks like
Oh,
inside of
absolutely.
VR. But
Listen,
it depends on, yeah.
I'm that old that I played Ultima Online in
The
1999,
old,
and I'm that
Uh-huh.
old
the
remembering that
creaky.
people.
I've heard the
I,
creaks.
I, I, I bring this. Look at my hair. I bring this example is
We can
because.
see.
Thank you. It's because I remember spending and seeing people spend hundreds of dollars on virtual houses,
Mhm.
on avatar clothing, and things like that. All my friends, 95% of my friends were online in 1999. Okay, so
Mhm.
because we had communities and we had stuff. So there's nothing new. I know that there is value. People will be spending tons of money on wearables in VR, on avatars, on all those things, of course, because it's what makes you you. You want to be unique. So sure, it's just a question of how it will evolve because there might be several scenarios, and depending on which companies enter and not entering the VR space, it could shape the industry in a different way that we anticipate.
I know what we need.
Mhm.
I know what we need. We need Ready Player Me kick off. We need the virtual world to impact the real world, and only really then will it really. I
Wait,
think
Ready
just
Player Me or Ready Player One?
Ready Player One.
Player.
But Ready Player Me are great as
Ready
well.
Player Me is a great
Great
company. I'm
avatars.
an investor in
They're
Ready Player
great.
Me, so.
But no,
Uh-huh.
I do think that when VR and R become one, as in like what you do in VR affects reality, and what you do in reality what you do in reality already affects VR. But you know what I mean? Like if I do a good deed in VR and I get something for my reward in reality,
I think the only way how VR can go mainstream, and here I can be a little bit serious, is you have to have real economy inside
Mhm.
virtual worlds. If you don't provide people an ability to make a full-time living in virtual reality, this will not take off because while you can have fun, but fun is will not bring the food on your table. If you are a capable person and you can come into a virtual reality space and be I don't know, an avatar creator, or you could be a receptionist at the front desk in Somnium Space Main Square and make full-time living doing that. Or you could be, someone could hire you to do tours of their gallery inside virtual reality or things like that. That's when we will see retention, because it will give people a real reason to not only spend time for fun, because fun is fine, but fun will not feed you most of the time. That's the problem. We need to work.
Yeah.
We need to make value. We need to bring value to this world. So if there is an economy, then there is an incentive to bring people in and to hire people. And we've seen it in Somnium Space in a super small scale, but we've seen it happening. And our goal and my goal for Somnium Space is to bring that into a bigger scale where people can come in and say, listen, I can have fun, which is great, but also I can go to work, and my work will be also in virtual reality, and I can still meet amazing people, but I will be working. And I think that
totally.
would be, it needs, without economy, there's no long-term sustainability, like literally none.
Well, this is what things like Second Life was so ahead of its time with stuff like
Absolutely.
this. Right. And and I mean, this is one of the reasons why I think the big VR games of today, like Gorilla Tag, like they're very good, but they are not what it's going to bring VR to the mega masses, right? So that's I think generally a lot of VR developers get caught up in like the sort of month-to-month cycle of who's releasing game next, like how are we going to beat this game to market, ultimately it's just a waste of time to and I say this like with the camera stuff with Live, right? It's just a waste of time to focus on silly competition when there are so many different visions at play that each should execute to their individual ends.
Absolutely.
So the economy I think is going to be huge, a huge part of how VR takes off.
It's a must. Again, there cannot be success in VR space without having a functional virtual economy working. And if we talk about economy, it has to be, in my opinion, it has to be decentralized, because if Meta sell you Zuckbuck, right now you're dependent on, if you're a social creator, right? If you're on Twitter and you have 1 million followers, fantastic, but how do you make money? Twitter pays you several $100, maybe $500, $600 for some of the views, if you get views. But what do you do? And then Twitter can disconnect you any moment of time. Patreon can disconnect you any moment of time. If if they don't agree with what you do or whatever, they can just stop you out. Meta, we know they can just switch off everything, and your Zuckbucks are gone. Your account is gone. All things you've built, all the worlds you've built, they're gone. So how do you make sure that the value you are building online in a virtual space can stay there forever, or can outlive you even, and maybe even go to your kids and stuff? How can you make sure that what you own? These are, I sound like a salesman right now, but these are the things. No, but I know, I truly believe it. That's why I put my money where my mouth is, right? I build the company. Everybody hates blockchain, but I still build on that technology, because I think that right now it's the only way how to make sure that if I give you digital value, whatever, avatar or a piece of currency or whatever, that you can take it and nobody can take it from you if you don't want. That, to me, I learned a hard lesson in Ultima Online, where I had an account, I had millions of gold coins and things like that, and then suddenly the server just wiped out everything, and everything was gone. Years of work, like literally years, thousands of hours of work were gone. And we were all sitting there and like, how the hell did that happen?
You would still be playing it right now if that never happened. I guarantee you. You'd still be playing it, wouldn't you?
So what?
You would still be playing it right now if that never happened.
Oh, no. I mean, I found my own way. So I then talked to the owners, because this was not an official server of Ultima from Electronic Arts. These were unofficial servers. So I found the owners and and stuff like that. But anyway, to me, I also outgrew that game at some point. I was busy with the real life and stuff like that. But still, it taught me a lesson. Everything can be done. And if you really want to, those kids want to make value over the time, because if you start combining things, if you start doing productive things and you start earning money, you probably want to make sure that this value stays there, right? If you build something, it's there. If you post something, it's there. It's kind of like That's my understanding. You can't
Mhm.
you can't make long-term plans on systems which you have zero control over. You can't.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And what's great is that VR is this amazing wide open field that has yet to be defined in a lot of ways. The economy of VR has yet to be defined. So
Absolutely.
now the challenge the blockchain and NFTs and stuff had, right, is that people couldn't really figure out, or at least like the mainstream couldn't really figure out, like,
95% was scams. Sorry. Like,
yeah, it was
was
scams,
absolutely
and
horrible.
like
That ruined
it was entering into, for example, video games that already had the status quo of how in-game purchases worked and whatnot. VR, it's this totally new opportunity
Yep.
to redefine how that works and create more value along the way. So the fact that Meta comes out with the credits and they don't at least try something like this, I think tells you everything you need to know about their level of innovation when it comes to this, right?
Of course.
You don't really need to look at anything else.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Meta was clear from the very beginning. I'm not even surprised that they bring those credits. I'm just surprised they're doing it so early. That what
What annoyed me with them is they did it silently. They rolled it out.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything about it.
They do test groups. They do test groups, of course.
They
those are-
innovate by committee. Famously, the best way to build new companies.
That was very.
Yeah.
It just felt shady to me. That massively.
But it's not on blockchain.
Yeah, I don't understand a lot about why they did that.
Yeah, I mean, Horizon Worlds, I think it needs a lot of work. I mean, Meta should have bought just Rec Room, I think, and they would have been much better off.
Yeah, you're probably right.
How much is they're like 5 billion now, aren't they? Rec Room, they're huge. When I look, because
they've expanded across different platforms.
Rec Room.
Well, they're growing because they're expanding outside of VR. They're like basically they started in VR, but now they're going elsewhere. And I think that's, I understand from their perspective why they need to do that. But we need companies that stick to VR and push it forward and rely on it, or like rely on its growth to stay around. I think what you see in Shoda, you might know this, right? In VR chat, there are economies. There are player-driven economies, among creators and whatnot. This is also happening in Gorilla Tag or Gorilla Tag fan games. So there's value here. I think it's just that a lot of people don't see it. So yeah, I mean,
what are those economies in Gorilla Tag, for example? What are people buying and selling in those games?
So it's not Gorilla Tag itself. Gorilla Tag has their shiny rocks that are like the credits, and they make $100 million. That's awesome. What I'm more excited by is the fact that there are Discord servers with tens of thousands of members, where you can go and you can pay, another kid who learned 3D modeling to make you assets for your game. You can pay them for scripts. Sometimes, kids are even paying each other to set up quest cam in each other's games. And that is awesome. They have like buy me a coffee pages with little asset stores. That is amazing.
But that happens outside of the platform. And that happens.
It does.
They rely on other platforms to do that, right? They're just like buy me a coffee, Patreon, this and that, and this is the VRC mods and all this kind of stuff.
Transfer.
It can all happen in VR. It just takes someone to see this pattern and build a product around it. So I think that when this sort of activity happens, not in a centralized way, but just in a way that it's a little bit more VR native and conducive to faster creation and goods transactions inside of VR, I think that's going to be a big milestone here, because the activity and the interest is totally there for something like that.
Yeah.
Because like with VR chat, you got like Gumrod, and a lot of people on there who want avatars making and worlds making, it's making, and it all just
You have advertising boards in VR chat worlds. That's huge.
Yes, that's big as well. Want to get some slime trackers? Go to this website.
Yep.
And then they banned movies being played. There. Amount of times I spent watching 3D films in VR chat. That was great.
I think VR chat wants to go public. I think that's the only way they can survive.
I don't know how they're gonna stick around, to be honest. Like,
no, I don't either.
People are so used to it being free. It's just like a petri dish that's been sitting around for so long.
I mean, you go to a black cat, a public world, a black cat, you're definitely a petri dish. That's what I'd describe it as.
Yeah.
I've never heard so many kind of ethnic words being spat at me. It's going to public black cat. Other words are available, but that one particularly is very popular.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah, you know what's
anytime I
interesting
find
about
it.
this?
What's that?
Yeah, the Black Cat's great. You
Did
already
you make
noticed
it?
is unfortunately no, but I did notice that one of the top worlds on Rec Room is a Black Cat remake
Yes.
in Rec Room, which I
Yes.
thought was really funny.
It used to be the pug back in the day when it was like, you remember the
Yeah,
pug?
that's right.
Like in
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
2015
still
or
on
something
VR
like that.
chat,
I
right?
remember pub. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
yeah, I
in Rec
remember
Room
that.
that was one of the top custom
Oh,
worlds.
in Rec Room? Oh, okay. There's another pug, I guess, in VR chat that I'm more familiar with. Rec Room I can't really stand anymore just because the performance is so bad for whatever reason in a lot of the games,
Yes, I've
and
noticed that.
tons of screaming kids. And it's because they've expanded to all these other non-presence based platforms.
Because you can get it on Android, you can get
So-
it on iOS, can't you? You can.
But honestly, if I go to
yeah,
any
the
public room
Switch.
in VR chat, screaming kids is basically prevailing thing. Like I'm
Well,
seeing.
VR chat is also 80% desktop users, so I think that's a lot to
I was
play
going to
in.
say if you avoid the Quest worlds, then you half and half. You
Yeah.
might not get a room full of kids, but then you will get desktop plebs, is what I call them. No offense,
Mhm.
desktop's
Desktop
fine,
flames.
but VR chat,
Desktop
the
plebs.
VR really plays a big part in it. It really does.
hmm Yeah, that's why I like the truly VR native stuff like Gorilla Tag because at least in my experience, it tends to be a lot more friendly than what you'd expect from like Xbox live chat style,
I've been in
flat
Gorilla
worlds.
Tech twice. I have to say, I mean, I'm not the
You're not a
I would
demographic,
say
are you,
the
really?
target audience, the
No.
demographics for that. I fully admit that.
Although you got really long arms, so I think you do really well. You could go pro.
But to me, it was the graphics was like I was like, oh my god, okay. And then the kids obviously and all these conversations, I was like, okay, guys, all right. I mean, the mechanics is okay, I guess. It's not something which would make me cry or from joy with joy, with the tears, but it's all right. It works,
I think 'cause
But
it's something so
yeah.
new and radical. That's why it really kicked off.
Yeah.
There's no other
Well,
movement.
it gets you moving.
Yeah.
Right. It gets you moving. It gets the endorphins going.
I've never
It
sweated so hard in
replicates.
my life playing Gorilla Tag.
Right. Yeah. And I think the kids they kind of tend to speak a different language of sorts, right? Where it's
Yeah, they got that
I don't know,
skibbity
they're
riz,
talking
haven't
about
they?
whatever meme is Skibbity Riz, KSI, right?
Oh.
Whatever the popular meme is of the day. But I think if you parse through it, a lot of it is very friendly, which I think is cool.
I don't know. I didn't say it's not friendly. I'm just saying I'm not the demographic
Yeah.
of that game. Like
Yeah.
it's like I like Hyperdash, for example. Hyperdash is an amazing game.
Hyperdash is super fun.
It's quick. It's you play. It's looking pretty good. It has good dynamics and things like that. So it has also skill based. You can really get good in it. But yeah, I fully admit that I'm just not the demographic. I'm getting old
Sure,
or
yeah.
whatever. I don't know.
You play much PC VR, Matthew?
Yeah, I recently moved to San Francisco, so I didn't have PC VR for a while, but I recently got a Link cable and have been playing a bunch more. So yeah, mostly VR chat stuff. Sometimes VTOL, that sort of stuff.
Have you like experience with UEVR, like taking some really polished games and modding them?
I haven't tried it. I haven't tried it actually. I think
would.
I think you think it's worth a try?
Yeah, if you want something a bit different to the visual styles that you used to on standalone, it's just even
I
me,
think
it
it's
blows my
great.
mind. It's just I mean,
Yes,
I play
some visuals.
7 Days to Die in VR. Even that's just like I feel scared. It's terrifying. Just the
No. I'm
difference
not
in
playing
quality.
those kind of games.
You'd
Not in
love it.
VR1.
You don't want to
Very
play.
scary
You don't want
games.
to play
What? No, I
Phasmophobia.
hate.
You can't do it.
No, I hate horrors in VR.
They're some of my
Come on, this is
favorites.
horrible.
Oh,
Half-Life
Phasmophobia.
Alex was. I mean, Half-Life Alex wasn't that crazy, I guess. But Cosmo Dread was a big one on standalone when I guess over a year ago
Like
now.
Dead Space.
Yeah, that was scary.
But no, if you
I think
I would.
I'll give the UEVR stuff a try. I have to admit, outside of like Minecraft, like social Minecraft, Club Penguin and stuff, my games when I was growing up were never like campaign style games or single player games.
Same.
So overall, I gravitate a lot more towards social stuff, and I've never really like I've tried to play like I guess the big VR mod is like Cyberpunk 2077. I've tried to start that game like 5 times and I've never gotten into it. Same goes for Elden Ring. Like I just can't for whatever reason. I've just more focused on like I can't like disassociate into the world as much, I don't think. So I'll give it a try, but
That's the same with
yeah.
like with flat games for me. I can't play a flat game. I just get instantly bored. And I think I'm the same with you. I can't play a campaign VR game that much because I'm so conditioned to talk to people. Like I can play like massive co-op games. I'm all for that, which is why I really like 7 Days to Die in VR. But it's so weird. Like, are you the same? Are you like, do flat games bore you, or is it just like a weird phenomenon on my end?
Since I've gotten into VR, I've definitely noticed that flat games have bored me more. And yeah, I think talking in a VR world, there are a lot of mute people, obviously, in VR who just don't talk. But talking in VR, it connects you with the world so much more, like in a really non-linear way. That once you start doing that, I think it's very hard to go back. So I agree with you
It's
there.
like full body
I have
tracking. Once you've been using that, it's
Full body tracking, I haven't. I have the Slime VR trackers. Um, I've put them on maybe like 4 times. It's just such a hassle,
oh,
and I'm not sure it's always worth it.
I agree with you and I disagree with that. So for me, I cannot, after Ultima Online and VR, I cannot play single player games without, and I cannot play flat games. So basically, I cannot play any game almost, because I'm basically down
You just
to
get instantly
only
bored.
social VR experience. But it's if I cannot, and now of course I cannot play games which I don't feel I can add value or it would bring value to me in the long run. So when I do something which is, if I have it to choose, okay, do I play some single player stupid game here and it brings me nothing, or I go somewhere and meet someone and have a great experience in social VR, that's amazing. But ideally,
Right.
I would love to do that, plus have some economical activity so that I don't feel that I'm losing time, that I'm actually contributing, or even if I'm spending something, then I'm buying something and I own it, and then someone else earns. I feel like I'm contributing to a system. If I don't have those things, and which is very hard to get, there's nothing to get it from. That's what we're trying to build in Somnium, right? But it's not fully built yet. So this is kind of like where I'm stuck in the middle of the void. I don't know what to do because I cannot play single player games because it's just boring to me. The VR is great, but then I'm feeling I'm losing time unless I'm having some good conversations with people. So that's where I see the potential is, right? That's where we need to kind of fix the problem.
Yeah, well, before I got a VR headset, like I think a lot of people who got into VR around the same time I did, I was watching all of the YouTube videos, the spending time in Rec Room, Nathan's videos about Rec Room, like all of that stuff. And I get when the Quest 1 launched, right? It was like Vader Immortal, Beat Saber, Super Hot, that sort of thing. It was like a field of like demo experiences, I would describe them as. And I hate to say it, but I think we're still in the demo era of VR.
Oh,
I don't think we've really we have not gotten to a point where there is
yet.
something that will stick around,
Yeah.
right? And accumulate even more value over time for 10 years, like a social media site has. So a lot of people don't like to hear that, but I think it's totally the case, and certainly the retention numbers are there to prove it. So yeah, I guess one of the things that has really pushed me to continue building the space is like the fact that this isn't here yet, right? It's hopefully around the corner, but every month there are more patterns to look at in these demos that sort of paint a picture as to where it's going, I think.
Yeah, I think we are we're kind of early, but we're kind of not. It's a little bit of weird space, but one thing we all can agree here is that once you try the full-blown VR experience, whether it's a great club and you have people with full body tracking and you have amazing visuals and music and social experience happening there, maybe some economical value, it's magical. There's nothing that can replicate that, and it just blows your mind. But to get to that point, you have to work so much, to go through so many hurdles, to go through many, to get to that point. Only 1% of 1% is actually experiencing that. The rest is just PC VR people trying to be in 2D mode with some other VR people and things like that. So that's, I think, it's the holy grail is there. You can,
that's a great way of putting it.
The future is already there. It's not even I can take my Tesla suit on and I can be, in Ready Player One today. but I cannot share that experience with almost anyone in the world, and that
Right.
is, it's not evenly distributed. So, yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. The fact that like 1% of 1% actually get to that magical social interaction. It should be a lot higher than that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's our goal. Your goal is to share that experiences among other people with QuestCam, and our goal is to actually bring that freaking amazing holy grail of economy and building blocks and things like that to people, so that they can actually realize some value as well as having
Yeah,
fun.
well, that's the thing about VR and QuestCam, right? Like as we're speaking right now, there are probably tens of clubs in VR chat having like raves or something. There are comedy hours going on in VR chat
Absolutely.
clubs. There are funny moments, right, happening at every couple of minutes in all of these different Gorilla Tag fan games. The fact that such a tiny portion of those actually make their way onto social feeds is a huge contributing factor in VR's sort of flat growth right now. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do QuestCam, is just to capture more of these moments that are already happening and bring them to more people.
Amen. Listen, I think you're doing a great job. I think you're on a fantastic path. I see your
Thanks.
enthusiasm. I think you're as crazy as we are, so that's great. We found each other. So that's amazing, and I wish you a lot of success, a little bit of luck, a lot of hard work. I'm sure it's only hard work mainly, and then just a little bit of luck. And if we can help in any possible way, we'll definitely stay in touch, and we'll be talking and trying to figure out great things to kind of how to make VR better. And yeah.
Absolutely. I'll see you as well. I think what you're doing with Somnium is super impressive and inspiring. So I can't wait to see where it goes.
Thanks a lot.
So many features I talk about. God, not loud.
We are. It's all good. It's all coming. We are. I kind of, at some point of time, I realized, and I knew kind of from the beginning, that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I'm fine with that.
Thank God for
it's
that. I can't.
yeah. It's kind of. Thank God we can continue building what we're building, and we can do it for years, and we will. And my goal is we will be building and making the platform as good as possible for creators and people for as long as it's needed for them to actually realize their dreams and values inside this platform. And that's kind of how I see it. And it's very difficult, but hey, nothing is easy in life, so it's okay. We'll be continuing doing that. All right, boys and girls, I think that's another amazing episode of Pixel Slaves. We're slaves for the pixels. Our eyes
Forever.
are...
Eyes.
I remember
right.
in 2015, people were saying like, if you'll be wearing VR, your eyesight will get worse. Actually, it didn't get worse. It stayed the same, maybe slightly better even.
Mine got better.
Possible, but...
My
I
prescription
don't know.
got
I had
weaker.
to get glasses.
Did you?
Okay, hopefully. Yeah, I had to. I have the Meta Ray-Bans.
We got the same.
And
Mine are not Ray-Bans. Mine are just
sweet.
£25 ones. Mine
Yeah.
are cheap as anything.
I'm not gonna say anything about the Meta Ray-Bans with Artur on the call here, but
Please do.
I did have to get glasses since I started in the VR
look at him get
space.
his Sony Betamax or whatever. What are they? I love your cable, man.
Boys, if you say one more word about Beta, I'll connect this cable to some of the things you don't want to see, okay, in your bodies. So now this is actually old TCL AR glasses. So like
interesting.
where they project, so you can connect it to the mobile phone and then have a big screen and play it. This is like Gen 1 they had a couple of years ago, like 3 years ago, I think. So nothing spectacular, but was an interesting demo of the technology at that time. So yeah. But Ray-Ban, I don't know. I'm hesitant to give Meta a camera on my face and record and have access to my visual feed. Call me crazy, but I'm hesitant.
Fortunately, these have been dead for like weeks at this point, so I haven't even so they haven't had the opportunity to turn on the camera on my face for a while because the battery is so bad. But yeah.
All right. Pixel Slaves, my friends. Another episode is in the box. So yeah, Matthew will put your link to your Twitter profile in the description below. So
Awesome.
those who can or who want to find what you do, they will find you right there. And yeah, just stay with us. We'll have amazing episodes coming soon. And thank you for coming. And
Great, thank you.
bye-bye.